The Devil's Triangle, Myth, Science, and the Vanishing Point. For generations, the Bermuda Triangle has captured the human imagination. This seemingly innocuous stretch of ocean, loosely bounded by Bermuda, Puerto Rico, and Miami, Florida, is known by a far more chilling name, the Devil's Triangle. It is a vast, invisible zone where the laws of physics and probability appear to break down. Countless ships and aircraft, many large, modern, and fully equipped, have allegedly entered this area only to vanish without a trace. No wreckage, no debris, no distress calls, just the void. But is the Bermuda Triangle truly a paranormal phenomenon driven by alien forces, lost Atlantean energy, or magnetic anomalies? Or is it a carefully constructed myth, sustained by sensationalism and the compelling human desire for a mystery? To answer that, we must dive deep into the history of its most famous disappearances, and then apply the cold, hard logic of science. The birth of the myth. While tales of strange happenings in this area predate the 20th century, the Bermuda Triangle as a modern, codified mystery is surprisingly recent. The area's notoriety truly began to crystallize after the Second World War. Early accounts in the 1950s spoke of strange disappearances, but it wasn't until 1964 that the term Bermuda Triangle was officially coined by writer Vincent Gaddis in a pulp magazine article. Gaddis bundled disparate incidents together, suggesting a common, inexplicable force was at work. However, the person most responsible for cementing the triangle's place in global culture was Charles Berlitz, who published his best-selling book, The Bermuda Triangle, in 1974. Berlitz presented the disappearances as paranormal events, using dramatic, often inaccurate, retellings of historical incidents. The book was a global phenomenon, turning a regional curiosity into a worldwide enigma. Suddenly, every missing boat or plane in the area was automatically attributed to the triangle's power. The ghosts of the air and sea. The mystique of the triangle rests on a few core, highly sensationalized cases that defy easy explanation. The most famous of these is the disappearance of Flight 19 in December 1945. This was not a single plane, but a squadron of 5 U.S. Navy Avenger torpedo bombers on a routine training mission originating from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The mission was led by an experienced pilot, Lieutenant Charles Taylor. The conditions were perfect, the visibility clear, but shortly after the planes passed the Bahamas, strange radio transmissions were intercepted. Taylor reported that his compasses were completely malfunctioning and that he could no longer determine his position. He was heard saying, "Everything is wrong. They look like the white waters." The squadron seemed to be drifting aimlessly until radio contact was completely lost. Worse still, a large PBM-5 Mariner flying boat sent out immediately to search for Flight 19 also vanished shortly after takeoff, possibly after a mid-air explosion. 6 planes and 14 crew members disappeared in a single afternoon. No wreckage was ever found, leading to immediate speculation about extraterrestrial or magnetic forces. Just 3 years later, in January 1948, the Triangle claimed its first major commercial airliner. The Star Tiger, a British passenger plane, disappeared while carrying 31 passengers and crew en route to Bermuda. Again, the weather was calm. The crew was experienced, and the plane was modern. The pilot's final radio message indicated they were expecting to arrive on schedule. Then, nothing. Its sister ship, the Star Ariel, disappeared on a similar route a year later, cementing the belief that the Triangle was a perpetual threat to aviation. A generation earlier, the disappearance of the USS Cyclops remains one of the greatest non-combat losses in U.S. naval history. In 1918, this massive vessel, carrying over 300 men and a large cargo of manganese ore, vanished en route from Barbados to Baltimore. The ship had modern communication equipment and was commanded by an experienced captain. It never sent a single distress signal, no wreckage, no oil slick, and no bodies were ever recovered. Then there are the cases of the ghost ships, vessels found perfectly intact but completely deserted. In 1921, the five-masted schooner Carroll A was found hard aground off the coast of North Carolina. Her sails were set, her galley was prepared for dinner, and all of the crew's personal belongings were still aboard. The ship's logs, the navigation equipment, and the entire crew had vanished. It was as if they had been raptured from the decks mid-meal. It is these high-profile, high-stakes disappearances, where modern technology seems useless against an unseen force, that solidify the belief in the triangle's supernatural power. The skeptics and the science. Despite the compelling nature of these mysteries, the vast majority of scientists, marine experts, and maritime insurers agree. The Bermuda Triangle is not a unique phenomenon. There are no confirmed physical laws that behave differently within its boundaries. The mystery is far more likely a combination of mundane yet deadly factors. Geographic density and statistics. The first and most powerful argument is statistical. The Bermuda Triangle encompasses one of the most heavily trafficked shipping lanes and air corridors in the world. It is the coastal region of the United States, connecting major ports like Miami, Charleston, and the entire Caribbean. Logically, an area with significantly higher traffic will also have a proportionally higher number of accidents and disappearances. The rate of loss in the triangle, when calculated per capita of traffic, is statistically no different from any other heavily traveled ocean corridor. Sudden and violent weather. The entire region is situated in an area notoriously prone to sudden, violent weather changes. Hurricanes, tropical storms, and fast-moving squalls can materialize with devastating speed. These weather events can easily overwhelm small aircraft or ships. Furthermore, the Gulf Stream, a strong, fast-moving current, runs through the area. If a ship or plane sinks, the Gulf Stream rapidly disperses the debris across hundreds of miles, making wreckage extremely difficult to locate. This explains the lack of evidence. Magnetic and compass confusion. One of the most persistent claims is that a unique magnetic anomaly exists here. The truth is more complex. The Bermuda Triangle is one of only a few places on Earth where true north and magnetic north align, meaning compasses point toward true north instead of the magnetic pole. This minor difference, if not properly accounted for by a navigator, especially one inexperienced or disoriented, could lead to a significant course error. The methane hydrate theory. The most intriguing modern scientific hypothesis involves the geology beneath the seafloor. The continental shelves in this area contain massive reserves of methane hydrates, frozen methane gas trapped in a crystalline structure under high pressure. Scientists theorize that underwater earthquakes or landslides could trigger a sudden release of this methane gas. If a gigantic bubble of methane gas surges to the surface, it would dramatically reduce the density and buoyancy of the water in that localized spot. A ship sailing directly over this density void could lose all flotation instantly, sinking immediately and cleanly before a distress call could be issued. The speed and completeness of such a sinking could account for the lack of debris. While this remains a difficult theory to prove definitively, it offers a purely physical explanation for the sudden, complete loss of a vessel. The enduring mystery. The stories of the Bermuda Triangle are a perfect blend of genuine tragedy and human error, magnified by powerful storytelling. Flight 19 was most likely lost due to pilot error, compass failure, and poor communication, running out of fuel over the vast, unforgiving ocean. The USS Cyclops likely sank due to a structural failure, possibly caused by its heavy cargo in a major storm, which was never reported in the official log. Ultimately, the Bermuda Triangle is not a mysterious vortex. It is a busy, deep, and volatile stretch of ocean that demands respect. Every disappearance is a tragedy, but the true enigma lies not in the stars or under the sea, but in the power of the human mind to craft an irresistible narrative around the unexplained. We prefer a grand mystery to a simple, terrifying truth that the sea is always dangerous, and sometimes even the largest ships can simply vanish.